the Board BIA quality mark, ensuring your food is produced to the highest standards of traceability and care for the environment.
This series is all about cooking good food fast, and as a chef I'm always interested in finding out how other people cook. So far I visited a couple of places where the chefs prepare food for large numbers of people, but today's programme is a bit different. I'm going to be cooking with Ray Darcy. I've known Ray for many years and always enjoy being interviewed by him on the radio because he's really interested in food and he knows his stuff, and he's also a very good cook. So I'm looking forward to cooking with him later on. But first, I'm going to be cooking some dishes here in Black Lion, and there's some real family favourites on the menu today. Eggs are such a versatile ingredient, and later on, I'll show you a fast and amazing recipe for baked eggs. But first on the menu, it's hake with a herb crust. This is a deceptively easy dish to make, and I first came across it when I worked in Roscoff in Belfast, a Michelin star restaurant which Paul Rankin was the head chef. He used to serve this crust with turbot, which was fabulous. I'm going to use hake, which is really, really good. So for the crust, I have some fresh breadcrumbs and dry breadcrumbs, and the dry breadcrumbs are called Paco, and you'll get them in most supermarkets now. We're going to put some herbs. Now you can vary the herbs. I'm using some curly parsley. You can use tarragon, you can use basil. When you're chopping any herbs, just hold the knife, rock it over and back, and then this is going to go into our crumbs. Get a spoon and stir them through, and these crumbs will keep in your fridge, or you can freeze them for a few days. They're lovely even for potato croquettes, fish cakes. Now, let's talk about the hake. So this is 2 little fillets of hake. Hake is a round fish, good value. I just think it's gorgeous. This is pin boned, but I've left the skin on. So the scales are removed, but the skin actually holds the fish together. So the first thing I'm going to do is just season my flour, a little bit of salt and pepper. And then I'm going to get the hake, dip it in, the flesh side down onto the seasoned flour, and then 1 egg yolk. Brush this all over. Make sure you go right to the edge because this is going to hold the crumbs together on the fish. Now, a little bit of horseradish. And this works exceptionally well with this. There's a lovely contrast, the sweetness of the hake and the lovely flavour from the horseradish. Traditionally, you'd see it, of course, with roast beef. Now, smear that all over. So them are crumbs. You sprinkle the crumbs on top and gently press them. Go right to the edges and let them fall back into the bowl. I'm going to set it onto some parchment paper, put a little bit of butter onto the tray, and then I'm going to place it into the oven, which is preheated, and it's 180 degrees. Now, it really depends on the thickness of the hake. This is not a huge, thick piece of hake, but it'll take about 15 to 18 minutes to cook this. So while that's in the oven, I'm going to show you a really lovely sauce to serve with the fish, and it's a lemon and mustard sauce, beautiful with any fish. Let's get the pot on. We're going to put in some cream. So this is just some regular whipping cream. I'm going to put in the zest of some lemon. Of course, lemon and fish go hand in hand. I'm going to put in some mustard. So I'm using some Dijon mustard, just a small amount. There's quite interesting flavours from the mustard, from the horseradish. A very refreshing and tangy tasting dish, so it is. I'm going to bring this to the boil, and then we need to add in some lemon juice. And the last thing we'll do is just season it with salt and pepper when it's at the right consistency and finish it with chives. It couldn't be easier. So I'm going to bring that to the boil now, let that simmer for about 5 to 6 minutes until it's nice and thick. After 5 minutes, this is the consistency of a sauce. Not very heavy. I'm going to taste it, even though I need to season it a wee bit. I love the flavour of the mustard. It's delicious. Tiny wee pinch of salt and some black pepper, just a wee bit, and then switch it off. I'm going to chop in some chives, just put them in at the last moment, and you can use any kind of herbs for this sauce. Chop this nice and fine. To serve with this, I'm going to wilt a little bit of spinach and then some baby potatoes. It's as simple as that. Add in the chives there, and then just whisk them through. So they add so much freshness, colour to the sauce. Okay, our potatoes, a little bit of salt, some black pepper, and I'm just going to put a little bit of mint into them. Just give them a little shake. So what I've done is hard cook the potatoes, steam them or boil them, whatever, and then cut them in half and just warm them up with a little bit of butter. Fresh little bit of mint, and literally just tear it into the pan, lovely and fresh, and again gives lovely colour. So the last thing we need to do, fish should be nearly ready, is to cook some spinach. And this is the way we cook spinach in the restaurant. Some butter, baby spinach. So good hot pan, the spinach is already washed. Into this, put a pinch of sugar. And then I'm going to put a little touch of salt and just wilt this really, really, really quickly. Just using a large spoon. You can do it in a wok, it doesn't matter, or a pan. It really doesn't matter. Now you can blanch off spinach. I think it's much nicer to cook it like this. And we would serve this with a lot of our fish dishes, also with a little bit of poached oyster, with any meat too. It's really gorgeous. So any kind of leafy green, the likes of tatsoi, chow sum, pok choi can all be done like this. If I was cooking any of those greens, I probably wouldn't put the sugar in. I might put a little bit of soy sauce and also some sesame seeds. It's delicious. So that's it. You're keeping the colour, you're keeping the nutrients. The secret of doing this is to put it onto kitchen paper. So this will remove any excess moisture that comes out of it. Look at how nice that is. And then all you have to do is just simply fold it over, and that will keep the spinach warm for a good 20 minutes. That's a really good tip for you. So we're ready to serve up. Potatoes are done. Let's have a little look at the fish. The crust is golden brown. So I just want to show you just what you're looking for when you're testing fish. People get very nervous when they cook fish. Sometimes they overcook and it dries out. You want to cook it until it's just perfectly cooked. So I can feel that's flaking when I push it like that and go into the thickest part of the fish. Both of them, yeah, it's perfect. And I love the crust. It's got a little bit of colour, a lovely parsley in it. The flavour's going to be delicious. So I'm ready to serve up. Switch off my potatoes, get my spinach. Plenty of the spinach. Then the sauce. I never sauce over fish. The fish really should be the star of the show. See how nicely reduced and thick that is. And the chives. The potatoes, just a little spoonful of them just to the side. You can serve this with broccoli, whatever vegetables are in season. Grilled courgettes, anything like that works really well with this. And then one of these hake preserving. Just be careful using the fish slice. And that's the beauty about parchment paper. Nothing ever sticks. How good does that look? That's my hake with a horseradish crust, wilted spinach, and a lemon and chive cream sauce.
Neven, you're very welcome.
Thank you very much, Ray. It's great to cook with you at long last after talking to you so many times on your radio show.
It's a real pleasure. I don't know how it's going to turn out now, to be honest, because...
I think what I love about you is your passion for food. You're very knowledgeable. And what are you going to cook for me today?
It's sort of a curry. It's called a prawn moly. I know that you're not particularly into your hot food, so it's not as
spicy. Okay.
And it looks more attractive than your traditional curry as well.
Lovely. All right.
So this would be a posh curry in my world.
A posh curry in your world.
For a special occasion, you do it.
So if you were having friends or family around, would you make this for
them? Or if I was trying to impress Jenny or say sorry to her. One or the
Whichever
other.
one. Okay.
So it's actually very quick, and I'm just. The rice is in there, it's basmati rice. There's water in that. I'm just going to steam that. We have 2 tablespoons of coconut oil.
Do you use a lot of coconut oil?
No. Usually peanut oil and sesame oil. So
sesame oil, I like sesame, yeah.
And we're going to add cardamom and cloves.
You kind of crushed them, have you?
Pepper.
Wow.
Yeah. So you wait till that's... Look at me telling Neven Maguire what to do, lads. Anyway, while you're watching that get hot, I will thinly slice 2 onions.
So does that look warm enough to you?
Yeah,
good.
It does indeed.
Okay. You go ahead the spices. Sizzling away.
Yeah, sizzling away there, yeah. You tell them what's happening there now. Why do you do that?
Just to release the lovely flavours.
Yeah.
And to infuse the oil, which is important. So you have cloves, cardamom.
And black pepper. My dad was in the army, you see. And he would have been in the Congo in the 60s, and then he was in Cyprus, and he was in the Lebanon. So he developed a sort of a taste for curries. Yeah. He comes home anyway, and the only thing you can get in Kildare that's even remotely could be called a curry is the Vesta beef curry. Do you remember that?
No.
No, oh God, you're too young. People at home know. A Vesta beef curry was made by bachelors, right? You got it in a box.
Yeah.
And in that box you had 2 sachets, right? Yeah. One had the boil in the bag rice.
Yes.
And the other was this tinfoil sachet with what was the beef curry. So it was this powdery, dried thing, right? And you added boiling water to it. And nobody else in the house would eat it, and it was for 2. So myself and Dad share a Vesta beef curry once a week.
You've been eating curry all your life?
Well, I wouldn't call Vesta curry now an official curry. We can turn down the heat on that.
Okay.
You don't want to... I do feel very strange telling you to turn down the heat, so you don't want to burn the onions, but So we can leave them sort of on a low heat for 5 minutes. Meanwhile, I'll get the garlic and the ginger ready and the chilies.
So lots of onion in the base. That's the secret.
Yeah, and it's to get them right, really soft.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. I'm doing okay here.
You're doing great.
Chef, yes.
you might have a career in this cooking.
Might have a career. Your garlic, you're slicing your garlic. Interesting. Nowadays in the kitchen we have a mandolin to do that.
I've never used one.
Oh,
Do you
yeah.
recommend?
Fantastic for doing strips
cucumber
of vegetables.
and all that sort of thing. Really,
it's a great little thing.
Now there, you don't want them to colour too much.
Okay, sorry, sir.
It's your fault if they turn brown.
Caramelised. We don't burn anything. We caramelise things now.
Oh,
isn't that right? That's the new word. So many cloves of garlic have you there? 2?
3.
Garlic's done. Ginger, root ginger.
Yeah, I like to get bits of ginger in.
You have a lot of ginger there. Love it.
Right. We should leave that in another few minutes. I don't want to ruin this recipe just for TV.
I know.
You know what I mean? Because they need to be a good bit softer than that.
Okay.
Reduced right down. Yeah.
Sweat it right down.
That's
Isn't that
it.
right?
That's
okay.
You've all the terminology.
How we looking?
Yeah. Sure. Look, we'll throw it in. So
you sure?
Throw it in.
I love it.
So the garlic and the chili goes into that.
Lovely.
And
green
what's good
chili.
about this? You leave them half.
So you're kind of infusing it, and you don't take. Are you taking the seeds out?
I'm taking the seeds out.
Okay.
Yeah. So then, for somebody like you who doesn't like it too spicy, or somebody like me who likes it spicy, I can chomp on it.
One of my best customers in the restaurant is the doctor from Enniskillen, and sometimes he brings myself and the staff for an evening in his house for a curry.
Right.
And it's lovely, it's hot, it's spicy and all the rest, but when he's eating it, he has a little dish of chopped chilies.
Oh, Tad.
He's eating that.
Chilies are like drugs.
Yeah.
The more you have them, the more you need to give you a hit.
It's a very good point, yeah. So Ray, what are you after putting in here?
That's fresh curry leaves.
Where'd you get them?
In the Asian market.
So that's pretty essential for this curry, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay,
and I'd just like to add, by way of qualification, that it's far from curry leaves I was born. Or reared.
Like us all.
Say. So then it's white wine vinegar. That's enough.
The coconut milk. So the vinegar gives a lovely kind of maybe sharpness to it, does it?
I sort of know something about flavours, but I wouldn't be an expert, so I don't know, for example, why there's vinegar in that. Now. You might tell me.
Maybe it's just for the kind of acidity in it. Some recipes of lemon juice. At the same time, you cook to your own taste buds. I think that's really important.
I know why this next ingredient is in. See, that looks a little bit anemic there, and it would look like some sort of bad pudding if you left it like that. So turmeric, it obviously flavours well, but this gives a
lovely colour.
Like I'm from a family of 9, and
so am I.
But my mum, in a small council house, not a huge income coming into the house, but she had to be very smart about the way she cooked for us, and it had to be regimental, it had to be military style, so that we knew if it was Monday we were getting a certain thing, if it was Tuesday it was mashed potatoes, carrots and mince, Wednesday was turnips and potatoes and a couple of rashers on top, and we'd use the gravy from the pan to mix in with the mashed potatoes. Thursday was pig's bum, cabbage and potatoes with white sauce. Friday was a treat, fish and chips, and then Sunday was always roast chicken. But as a result it was a very balanced diet.
Absolutely.
Because you were getting you were getting your veg, your
good, honest,
protein, all that.
Food.
Yeah,
perfect. Your mother must have been a good cook, and your father.
No, she wasn't. Look, if I said that my mother was a good cook on television, she'd be on the phone to me immediately, calling me a liar, because she was a functional cook.
Yes,
she was able to feed 9 of us. None of us ever went hungry.
But that's where maybe you got your appreciation for good, honest food and cooking.
I tell you where I came from. I was in college, and I just started cooking. The lads used to call me Evening Meal Ray. So I started sort of experimenting, and then sometime in my 20s, 30s, I was living alone. It basically went from getting Donegal catch and oven chips and frozen peas, and then I just got bored with that. And then I just got more adventures, and I said, I can actually do this.
So you could put prawns, or you could put any meat into it. Do you always make it with prawns?
I just did a bit of research on moly. It's seemingly all made with fish. You could have a lot more liquid in it if you wanted, because it could be a soup. White fish, so you could use monkfish in it. And I always think that prawns with tails on, it looks a little bit more posh for some reason. It's like you've made an effort.
It's true.
It's odd that people think by leaving the tails on them that you made an effort. Actually, it's the opposite.
You peel them and left a little for presentation.
Right, so the aforementioned prawns with tails, and they've been in, is it turmeric or how do you...
Turmeric,
whatever. And ginger and black pepper.
For how long?
Well, it says 15 minutes. They've been there for a couple of hours, which is better.
Gorgeous. To stir this through. Yeah. Bring it back to the boil.
Yeah, and that'll 4 or 5 minutes and they'll be done when they turn that.
Beautiful. Lovely. So the prawns are raw, you stir them in.
Yeah.
Interesting, you said monkfish. You'd need a firm fish for this. Cottage flake away.
Get the tomatoes while you're doing that. Yeah. Actually, usually when I cook it, I use beef tomatoes, but I was cycling home and the place I stopped didn't have any. Beef tomatoes work better because you slice them, crossways and the lovely thin,
nice and big.
Yeah, I'd say turn that right down there.
Right down. Okay, simmer away.
So this is sort of in honour of my dad, who used to add the slices of tomato and banana to his Vesta curry. You should look up that now, the Vesta curry. Batch, it was 60s and 70s.
Yeah.
They were... So I think...
They look good to me.
They look good, right.
Yeah.
Okay, so turn off the heat altogether
Okay.
at this stage, right?
Yeah.
And what I'm going to do as well, just because it's not in the recipe, but I love coriander.
It's unusual not to get coriander in a recipe, isn't it?
It's a bit of fresh green as well,
Yeah.
so I'm just going to sprinkle that over the top, not too much. And then on top of that, I'm going to layer these sliced tomatoes. So that's a long way from that sort of anemic white thing we had a few minutes ago.
The turmeric, the tomatoes, the green.
Yeah, there you go. You just cover that. Let that sit for 3 or 4 minutes while you're sort of getting the rice out.
Interested to know how you cooked your rice.
Yeah, well,
tell me.
I don't know where I read this, and it's not what it says on the pack.
Yeah.
But it's basmati rice, boiled water. You put the rice in. Once it starts jumping, you do it for 5 minutes. Then empty it into your colander or your steam or whatever, and put it on top of water. And after 20 minutes, and look at it.
It's perfect,
isn't it?
It's fluffy and absolutely clever.
Oh, people have complimented me on my rice.
Really? It's your rice. Wow. They've come here just for the rice. But the secret is rinsing the rice too, isn't it?
Yes,
yes.
that's it.
Yeah.
For a minute.
Great tip.
Right, so serve it out time. Bought these bowls specially for you.
Did you?
Yeah, I did, yeah. See, very proud of my rice.
Okay.
Probably enough.
Are you very particular about how you present food?
Well, it's television,
Yeah.
Neven. So I am today. Well, it depends. If there's people around, I'll just get a bit of tomato on top of that. Yeah. And if in doubt, add some
Fresh coriander.
fresh coriander. Makes everything look good. There you go.
Look at that for presentation.
Well, it's not actually great, but it's great.
And it's so tasty. You have to taste this award-winning rice.
Of course. You know that when you're in somebody's house and you have a meal in somebody's house, you're never going to say it's crap, are you?
Ah, it's delicious. The flavour is fantastic. And you know what, Ray?
No,
it's not too spicy.
I'm my own best critic, yeah.
Could you eaten half the chilli? Good?
Oh, yeah. It's good.
It's because the way I cook the onions, I knew it. Fab.
Really, do you like it?
Absolutely love it.
See, he's not going to say anything else, is he, lads? Come on.
Ray, thank you so much for being at home today.
My pleasure.
You're a gentleman.
Okay,
Great.
thanks, Neven.
Great to cook with you at last.
The Board BIA quality mark, ensuring your food is produced to the highest standards. The Board BIA quality mark, ensuring your food is produced to the highest standards.
Eggs are one of the most versatile foods and a great ingredient in your main meal. They're low in cost and they're really easy to cook. I'm going to show you 3 different variations of baked eggs with different toppings. So the first one we're going to start with is doing a tomato one, showing you how to make a tomato concasse, which is just really peeled and seeded tomato. With your knife, put a little cross on the top of the tomato, and in a saucepan of boiling water, just put a pinch of salt, plunge the tomato into the water. Literally for about 10 seconds. What this does, it helps just remove the skin. We're going to put it in enticed water, and that's what you call blanching off. With this, I'm going to grate some cheese, and I'm just using a little bit of cheese. Kool-Aid cheese is a lovely artisan Irish cheese, but you can experiment with lots of different, even some nice smoked cheeses. Smoked cubine, it's a lovely cheese to put into this. So a little bit of the cheese, we don't need very much. Now, lift out, you'll see the skin actually coming off the tomato. I can switch that off now, and then this is what you call shocking it just into some iced water. Take it out, and then onto some kitchen paper. Dry this off, and then it should just really very easy to peel off, just using a small little paring knife. How nice is that? Okay, we're going to de-seed it, and we're going to dice this really, really fine. Cut it in half, and then into quarters. Now, because I'm only doing 1 little baked egg, half is going to be enough for me here. Remove the seeds, and put this into the bowl. Just using a teaspoon, you can bring the bowl over closer, and just scrape out the seeds. So the proper name for this is tomato concasse. One of the first things I had to do when I was training in college is blanch off a load of tomatoes, so the base for like a tomato sauce. And then what you do is you just simply dice it really, really fine. So I'm just using a small little knife for this. And this little dice is called a brunoise. Tiny little dice of tomato. So this is lovely at this stage, tossed with some garlic, rapeseed oil, a little bit of basil, and done as a little bruschetta with toasted bread. So as a little canopy, it's really, really good. It'll keep really well in your fridge. That's one done. And your cheese over there. Now the next topping I'm going to do is using some mushrooms. These are some chestnut mushrooms. We're going to slice them, and we're going to cube them really, really small, nice and fine, because then they'll cook really fast. Using the stalks of the mushrooms too, there's lots of flavour in there. And then we're just going to cook this in a little bit of oil and butter. So the pan is preheated. So a little drizzle of oil and and a tiny little cube of butter. And then in goes the mushrooms. So we're just going to let them sweat off. Black pepper and salt. So I'm showing you 3 different variations. The mushrooms and the ham, the tomato and the cheese, and then we're going to show you a lovely one, which is the artichoke with truffle oil. But you can just do one, or if you want to impress your family or friends, you know, you can put a little bit of effort in. But they are very, very simple and really tasty too. Let that sweat off. I'm going to put a tiny little bit of fresh parsley, and that's just into the mushrooms. And you can use thyme. So just let them gently sweat off for a moment. While that's there, I can just move on to the next one, and this is the artichoke. So these are globe artichokes. You get violet artichokes, and a favourite of mine is Jerusalem artichokes. They're very, very different. These are already cooked, they're peeled, and they're usually marinated in some herbs and extra virgin olive oil, but they're delicious. And delicious as a little antipasta plate if you were having friends around. Dice it really fine, so you can be very creative with baked eggs. And then just spoon it there. I don't want to overcook the mushrooms, and that's really important because they are going to go into the oven and they're going to bake off. So I'll switch that off now. I'm happy with that. So the last thing I have to do for the mushrooms is add in the cooked ham, and I'm using some quality assured ham diced into small little cubes. So this is already cooked. And then into the pan just to warm it through. What I'm going to start to do now is to fill my dishes. I have these lovely dishes that are oven proof. The first thing we'll do is we'll do the ham and the mushroom. Spoon this in here, plenty of that. The next thing we're going to do is the globe artichoke, which is finely chopped. And we're going to drizzle a little bit of truffle oil. Now this is a little bit posh, but it is gorgeous, so it is. So a tiny little bit of truffle oil here. Beautiful oil to put in risottos and soup. Anytime you cook mushrooms, anything like that, the truffle oil works really well. The next one is the tomatoes, which is the diced tomatoes just at the bottom of the dish. I'm going to keep a few back just to sprinkle over, and I'm going to put some cheese over it too. So that's a little bit of the mature Kool-Aid cheese I'm using. Now our eggs. Just crack the eggs. 1 egg per dish. Tiny touch of cream. And you can use different spices, like a little bit of paprika works really well here, or cayenne pepper. So for the tomato one, a little bit of cheese, and I'm going to put some of the tomato on top so you can see it. Sprinkle it all over. A couple of little chives here. Dice the chives really fine. So just a couple of chives over the tomato one. I'm going to put some over the artichoke one. And then with the ham and the mushroom, we'll use a little bit of parsley. A little bit of curly parsley, flat leaf parsley, whatever you have. And then sprinkle this over the ham and cheese. A little bit of black pepper. And then we're going to cook this bain-marie style. It's going to protect the eggs. So a saucepan of boiling water, pour this here. Roughly about half fill the tray. And I already have the oven preheated at 180. These are going to take approximately about 15 minutes to cook until they're just set, but the yolk is lovely and soft. So after 15 minutes, the egg should be just set, but the yolk soft. We're going to serve up each one. So the first one we have here is the tomato with the cheese, sprinkled with a little bit of chives, and the baked egg with the mushrooms and the ham, finished with a little bit of thyme, and then the last one, the artichoke with the truffle oil. This is just some of the variety of flavours you can serve with baked eggs. I hope you enjoy them at home. In the next episode of Home Chef Fast, I'll be visiting Trinity College, Dublin, cooking with head chef Kieran Maxwell, and experience one of Trinity's great traditions, dining at Commons.
The Board BIA quality mark, ensuring your food is produced to the highest standards.